Ukrainian army staged large-scale air defense drills in southern Kherson region at the training field, which near the Crimean Peninsula, which was annexed by Russia. The combat firing involved anti-aircraft missile systems. The drills were held right after Russia introduced a new round of sanctions against Ukrainian political elites. The US has reimposed all sanctions on Iran that were lifted under the 2015 nuclear deal. As many as 700 companies, individuals, businesses, aircraft and ships will be added to the US sanctions list. But 8 countries, including India, will be allowed to continue importing Iranian oil, which at much lower levels, though. Turkey's energy minister has also said his country had been told it would get a waiver. The US sanctions on Iran will take effect from Monday. Russian President Vladimir Putin met his Cuban counterpart Miguel Diaz-Canel. This is Diaz-Canel's first international tour since assuming office. The two leaders held bilateral talks. Diaz-Canel is expected to meet with Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev before heading home. Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte met with his Tunisian counterpart Youssef Chahed in Tunis as part of the preparations for a conference in Palermo on the Libyan crisis. The one-day visit from Conte is the first to the Maghreb countries after the formation of the new Italian government. The trip was aimed at strengthening the economic and security between Tunisia and Italy. Conte said a solution would be reached in agreement with the United Nations while respecting the Libyan people. Chahed backed up Conte's statement, saying that Tunisia would welcome to Italy's role in finding political solutions to Libya. Central American migrants continue the trek through Mexico to reach the United States. Members of the caravan said that the site designated for them to set up a camp in Mexico was not large enough and did not protect them sufficiently from the threat of rain. Among the thousands of Central American migrants who are moving north towards the U.S. border is a large group of at least 40 Honduran LGBT youths who were fleeing horrific violence. The youth say they face harassment at home and even along the route of the caravan, but remain determined to reach the United States, where they say they will have a brighter future. U.S. President Donald Trump said that illegal immigrants who throw rocks at the military would be arrested but not fired upon by troops. Trump made the remarks to reporters on one day after he suggested the military could fire on members of a migrant caravan if they resort to stone pelting. The U.S. president has hardened his stance on immigration and specifically against the caravan of migrants ahead of next week's congressional elections, in which his Republican Party seeks to maintain control of both chambers. Cargo planes dropped off equipment at a military base in San Antonio in the U.S. state of Texas, which borders with Mexico. The planes landed at Kelly Field at Joint Base San Antonio-Lackland. Reports say that the troops would soon head to the border. The Pentagon has said it had deployed more than 5,000 soldiers to the border after President Trump said that he has been sending the military to stop the migrant caravan from entering to the U.S. Mourners gathered at the Pittsburgh synagogue for a Jewish Sabbath service dedicated to victims of shooting that killed 13 people. Robert Bowers burst into the Tree of Life synagogue last weekend with a semi-automatic rifle and 3 pistols, opening fire in the midst of Sabbath prayers. Bowers, an avowed anti-Semite, pleaded not guilty in federal court to all 44 counts against him in the attack. The FBI has confirmed that it has recovered a second suspicious package addressed to California billionaire Tom Steyer. The Federal Bureau of Investigation said on Twitter it recovered a package on Thursday night that was similar to other recently mailed parcel bombs to prominent Democrats and critics of Trump. Steyer is a Democrat known for funding advertisements calling for the impeachment of President Trump. Though the FBI has arrested 56-year-old Florida man Cesar Sayok, charged with mailing 15 pipe bombs, but officials claim that Sayok may have mailed other parcels before his arrest. Twitter has deleted more than 10,000 automated accounts posting messages that discouraged people from voting. Actions were taken after Democrats flagged the misleading tweets to the social media company. This is not the first time Twitter has deleted such accounts. It has previously deleted millions of accounts it determined were responsible for spreading misinformation in the 2016 US presidential elections. A Pakistani Islamist party, Tehreek-e-Labak, which has led mass protests in the country, has called off protest over the acquittal of a Christian woman who faced hanging on blasphemy charges. This comes after Imran Khan-led Pakistani government has struck a deal with faction of ultra-right group. According to the agreement, the government of Pakistan has agreed to put Asia Bibi in the country's exit control list. Turkish President Erdogan alleges that the order to kill journalist Jamal Khashoggi came from the highest levels of the Saudi government. However, Erdogan, in an op-ed piece in US newspaper, refrained from directly accusing the Crown Prince and said that he did not believe for a second that King Salman had ordered their hit. He called upon the Saudi government to unmask the perpetrators. The fiancée of a slain Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi delivered a video message at a memorial service in Washington. She called on US President Trump to back Turkey's investigation into his killing. She said that the US should help Turkey pressurize Saudi government to extradite Khashoggi's killers. Activists erected a mock street sign on outside the Saudi Arabian embassy in the British capital of London to mark a month since the killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. A handful of Amnesty International activists put up a sign reading Khashoggi Street and stood with the placards calling for justice for Jamal Khashoggi, a US-based columnist critical of Saudi government and its de facto ruler, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, disappeared after he entered the Saudi consulate in Istanbul on October 2nd. Islamic State gunmen killed at least 7 Christians who were returning from their baptism of a child at a Coptic monastery in Egypt. According to authorities, it was the most serious attack on the minority community in more than a year. 6 of the dead were from the same family. 18 people, including children, were injured in the attack. The terrorists opened fire on 2 buses near the monastery of St. Samuel the Confessor in Minya province. Locals and tourists alike posted dramatic videos of the floods in the Italian city of Venice. The videos show people donning high boots to navigate the inundated streets of the famous holiday spot. 3/4 of the famed Italian lagoon city was under water. Venice frequently floods when high winds push in water from the lagoon. German Chancellor Angela Merkel and Polish Prime Minister attended a short memorial service at the Tomb of the Unknown sojourn in the Polish capital of Warsaw. The Chancellor's visit was part of a regular German-Polish bilateral meeting. Relations between Berlin and Warsaw have sunk to a decade low since the Law and Justice Party came into power in Poland in 2015. The British Secretary of State for International Trade, Liam Fox, has said that the upcoming China International Airport Expo will bring in a new era in economic relations between London and Beijing. The United Kingdom will be sent of high-level delegations that includes royal family members, government officials, and business leaders to participate in the EXPO, which will take place in Shanghai city. Thousands of Bolivians remembered their departed loved ones by visiting their graves on the start of All Saints' Day. People brought flowers, candles and even food and drinks to the graves of relatives. Visitors to a cemetery in La Paz began their visit by cleaning the grave sites of friends and family in one cemetery. Then All Saints' Day was observed. Folk artists played music. Mexico City marked the Day of the Dead with a tribute to Aztec mythology. On the passage to death and Midland, the underworld, an altar was also set up for deceased migrants at the Mexican capital's main square. The Day of the Dead is a pre-Hispanic tradition in which families remember their dead and celebrate the continuity of life. They set up offerings to the dead, which include photographs, food, candles, flowers, personal items, skulls made out of sugar, skeletons on paper, mache and sweets. Families in Metepec, region of Mexico, brought flowers and candles to city cemeteries, gathering at their loved ones' graves to commemorate their Day of the Dead. Each year, the Day of the Dead event brings Mexicans out into their graveyards, where their relatives and loved ones are buried for all-night festivities of food, prayer, music. In Metepec, people made their way with large bags and folding chairs towards the graves of their loved ones. Relatives were seen decorating graves with flowers as mariachi bands played their dead relatives' favorite songs. There was no respite from toxic smog for Indian capital city of New Delhi, despite a halt on construction activities and a slew of measures undertaken by the state and federal governments as the air quality remained in very poor category. The toxic smog has started to envelop vast swaths of northern India, including Delhi, as it does each year when winter approaches and farmers burn off the residue of crops. The pollution levels in the city hovered around very poor levels, with air quality deteriorating to its worst levels.